Okay, I was told YouTube had a 15-minute limit, but apparently my webcam doesn't. It cut off at 10. Right, I was about to tell you about the dick comments. Let me go ahead and continue with that. As I mentioned before, I for years I thought I'd misheard that it was look at his brains because other kids had said that they said that. So I thought that's what I would have heard because the dick thing wouldn't have made sense to me. But I did find, but only fairly recently, a couple years ago, someone on a Columbine board that I sometimes post on to actually was able to give me an explanation as to why I might not have actually misheard. So I mentioned this comment on the board, and someone had meant one of the people on that board had mentioned that, hey, some other girl had said the exact same comment, and I'm thinking, really? Because I hadn't heard anybody else mention that before, and he explained to me the concept of it's gonna be morbid here, but he explained to me the concept of a death erections, which apparently can happen when someone dies violently or suddenly or dies from a head injury. And so I can tell you that I heard that when they were over at the table where Isaiah and Matt were at. I don't want to speculate on who the comment was directed at because that would just be a little bit morbid, so I'll just leave it at that. So those of you who are wondering about that comment, there's the explanation there. And I'm forgetting what I said after the video cut off, but anyway, in case I didn't mention in a part 6A there, I'd been curious about who the girl was who was next to me in the libraries, and the Rocky Mountain News, they would post these updates at the bottom of the paper every day on the names of the injured, what hospital they were at, where they were injured, what condition they were in, and just from looking at that over the next couple of days, I was able to narrow it down to it being this girl named Casey Ruigseger, who they said gotten wounded in the shoulder and was at a St. Anthony's hospital in serious condition. And so I would try to call the hospital and get updates on her condition. And apparently, the media had tried to do that as well because apparently it had gotten to the point where the hospital just had up this automated recording saying if you're calling about this person, this is their condition, and yada yada. And so there was that, and she ended up getting released 2 weeks after the shooting. She got released on May 1st, and there's this picture in the newspaper of her with her arm in a sling in a wheelchair getting discharged. And I was happy about that. The newspaper said she was gonna go into physical therapy for her shoulder and all that. And I was relieved. I was just glad that she was gonna be okay. And as far as the boy who helped me out with her, I found out his identity about a week after the shooting. It was either Time or Newsweek, but I was reading an article about Columbine, one of those, and there was this one boy describing these injuries, and I recognized that he was describing Casey's injuries, and the article identified him as Craig Scott, and I'm thinking, that's the boy in the red shirt, that was him, and of course, he was Rachel Scott's brother, and Rachel, of course, was the first one who died in the shooting, and so I was happy to know who it was, but at the same time, I kind of felt bad because he lost his sister. So there was that, and me and Craig, we've never talked. The only time we ever really talked was when we are in the library helping out Casey. So to this day, 15 years later, we've still never really talked, whether an email or anything. So there's that, and then as I mentioned earlier, excuse me, I'm having a brain fart today. As I mentioned earlier, they decided that since the school was too damaged to be able to renovate in time for us to be able to go back that school year, so they ended up having us attend Chatfield's Fresh this school year, who I mentioned earlier was our school rival, but they're also the closest high school to us. They ended up having us set up on a schedule where the Chatfield kids would attend in the morning and the Columbine kids would attend in the afternoon. Columbine kids would start class at like 12:30 or something, and then not get out till 6 o'clock. So it was a very short day, weird day with very short class. I think the class was only like 35 or 40 minutes, I want to say, but and we got set up with that, and in case it cut off in that earlier video before I mentioned this, I'd mentioned that I left my glasses in the library because I was going through a period where I didn't like wearing my glasses. So when the officers had visited me at home a couple days after the shooting, I mentioned my glasses, and so about about a week after the shooting, they actually were able to get me my glasses for me. Not my actual stuff, of course, just my glasses, just to make sure I wouldn't be wandering around half blind. So, and because a lot of kids had left their backpacks and stuff behind at the school when they're running away from the school during the shooting, we ended up getting a lot of donated school supplies and stuff. So, we'd all go over to Chatfield and pick out our backpack, which would be preloaded with like notebooks and pencils and stuff. And so that was really nice, even though it was cheap backpacks and stuff. But I didn't really care because it was the thought that mattered really. And I remember at Chatfield, it's also before we all started there. There's also this other table where kids could pick out stuffed animals that had like a personalized messages written on the tags attached to them. And so I picked out one bear, and on that bear's tag it said her name was Charlotte, and I actually still have Charlotte to this day. She's actually sitting on a shelf right across the bedroom from me. I'll go ahead and show her to you in my next video. But yeah, I got that bear. I got new school supplies and everything, and yeah, the school schedule was just really weird because I didn't have to get up till because we didn't have to be in school till 12:30 every day. I ended up sleeping in a lot, probably from depression, probably just taking advantage of the fact that I could actually sleep in. But yeah, we go to school every day, and like I said, this is a shortened schedule, and everyone was still kind of in a daze from, of course, the shooting and everything, so nobody could really concentrate on the schoolwork or anything. So I remember reading one article way later where someone had said that teachers pretended to teach and the students pretended to learn. That's actually a really apt description of what was going on, because I remember in my math class especially, the teacher was just like, you know what, if you don't want to do the assignments, you don't have to. If you do them, it'll be extra credit. So I would try to do the assignments when I could, skip the ones that I couldn't do, and a lot of my classes were like that. We just basically just go through the motions, just pretend to learn pretty much. And I did mention earlier that Miss Nielsen was my art teacher, and before the whole thing with Chatfield started, she'd actually she showed me the wounds on her shoulder. She right there in the hallway, she lifted up the back of her shirt and showed me these long looks like drag marks across her shoulder where I guess she'd gotten grazed by the glass and the bullet. So, and those wounds still looked fresh, but they were definitely healing. And so I was surprised she was willing to show me those, but at the same time, I was thankful that it wasn't as serious as the news articles had made her wounds sound. So, yeah, like I said, we went through the motions just the rest of that school year, and, as far as who I knew and who I didn't know, John Tomlin, who died, he actually sat next to me in my history class, but I never talked with him, so I feel bad about that. And Mr. Sanders, I met once when I was trying out for softball my freshman year, so I didn't really know him that well either. Danny Mauser, he'd been partnered with me on a science assignment during my freshman year, so I knew him in passing. And as far as the people who got injured, like I said, Miss Nielsen was wounded. Of course, she was my teacher. And Lance Kirkland and Mark Taylor, they're both also in that art class. I actually sat next to Mark, and of course, neither of them came back for the rest of the school year because he got shot in the face, and Mark had a lot of wounds as well. So, so we'd always be wishing them well. And our class got kind of weird one day because there was one time where we came into class, and Miss Nielsen was mad at at one kid who hadn't cleaned up before he left, and she said, she's yelled out just abruptly, if I get a hold of him, I'm going to shoot him. And everyone just looks at her all wide-eyed, and she realized what she'd said, and she just started bawling. And kids went up to her, comforted her. I just sat there, I didn't know what to do. I was surprised she'd said it too, but yeah, that's pretty much it for Chatfield. Really, it wasn't really anything out of the ordinary besides just school and just going through the motions pretty much. I'll go into a little more detail about that next week, guys. I do want to thank you very much for watching my videos, and I'll go ahead and start out with part 7 next week. So I will see you then. All right, thank you. Bye.